Hey guys, Adam Trigger here, wagertalk.com. It's college football week 9. We're going to be talking about Georgia Tech and North Carolina. But first, take advantage of promo code ACCESS3. It's 3 days of all access for any handicapper at wagertalk.com at a great discount. All 5% plays included, and you can use it on anyone. So take a look at that, wagertalk.com. As far as Georgia Tech and North Carolina are concerned, I heard some North Carolina fans calling last week's loss to Virginia one of the worst in the history of the program. I would have to go back and see. I'm sure they had a worse loss at some point. But if you want to talk about when North Carolina is good and what they sort of had in front of them this season, I certainly think that you could make a case that was one of the just most crushing and worst losses that North Carolina has ever had. Of course, losing as 24-point favorites to 1-5 Virginia. But with that being said, North Carolina, there's still a way they can make the ACC title game. Their season is not over, despite what you've been probably hearing for the last couple days in regard to this game and this North Carolina team. And I actually think, I guess contrary to how this is being bet, I think North Carolina could bounce back and sort of roll over Georgia Tech here. And I was sort of surprised. This opened 14, got bet down to 12, 11 and a halves are out there right now. I disagree with that move. I think North Carolina could steamroll Georgia Tech here, and I'm going to talk about why. So, I don't know that Georgia Tech was ever a look-ahead spot, but you have to go back to last year for this North Carolina team because they lost to Georgia Tech last season over close to 3 touchdown favorites in that game. It was a game where they led 17-0 and blew the lead. And it also completely derailed their season. So not only did they get upset by Georgia Tech last year, but it pretty much derailed their season. They were 9-1 at the point when they lost that game. And it totally unraveled after that for North Carolina. So maybe it's possible that North Carolina was looking ahead past for lowly Virginia that they really should have been able to beat in their sleep to this game. Knowing what's happened last year, I think because of what happened last year, and because they're still past to the ACC title game, I think that's why you're not going to see the quote unquote lose the Virginia game twice. I don't think you're going to get a North Carolina team that's like down and out here or like not ready to play. I think you're going to get a high alert North Carolina team that's ready to put a beat down on Georgia Tech. And they should be able to, because North Carolina, what we know about them, offense, Drake May, really is elite. And they should be able to run it up on this Georgia Tech defense, which is not very good. You go back to the Bowling Green game, defensive coordinator fired after giving up 38 points and losing to Bowling Green. This is a team that at different points in time, go back to the beginning of the season, gave up 39 to Louisville. Ole Miss dropped 48 on them. And then, they come out, they beat Miami, and, they're getting a lot of praise, right? Like, defense played so much better. But if you look in deeper into that game, how good did defense really play, right? They gave up 453 yards in a game they should have lost. And Miami turned it over 5 times. So on one hand, you could credit Georgia Tech with the 5 takeaways, but the very next week, Miami turned it over 4 times against this North Carolina defense that isn't that good. So was that Miami turning the ball over, or was that Georgia Tech improving defensively? If you go back to last week, I would say it probably had more to do with Miami's turnover issues, because last week, Georgia Tech against Boston College, not a great offensive team, 563 yards of total offense and 38 points conceded in the loss. So this is not a great Georgia Tech defense. And if North Carolina can just get on the same page, I mean, they should be able to name their score here. They really should be able to put any number up. The team that sort of did whatever they wanted against Syracuse, dropped 41 points on a very good Miami defense, should be able to move the ball and score some points here. And with that being said, even with North Carolina maybe having some, defensive woes here and there, I still think the number's too short, because I think this North Carolina offense can put enough points up to win this game by 2 scores. I have a really good friend it's a big Virginia fan, close to the Virginia program. He's got great insight to Virginia football. And he said, Trig, at some point, this Virginia defense is going to win a game for them this season, is going to keep them in a game. And I think we saw a little of that last week. Virginia, of course, being able to sort of handle North Carolina's offense and pull the upset. I don't think we're going to see that here. I don't think this Georgia Tech defense can handle this North Carolina offense. And again, even if Georgia Tech is able to move the ball, I just think North Carolina, if they're focused, it's going to be a much cleaner offensive performance, start to finish, and that should be good enough to win this game by 2 scores or more. So I would jump in now. I don't know. I'm surprised that this one dipped where it did. I think North Carolina's got enough firepower to bounce back. And so I would lay the points with the Tar Heels here. I think they get right and get a revenge win over Georgia Tech this week. If you like the picks, and if you like the free picks, please click on the other videos on our screen for more free picks. And head on over to wagertalk.com, wt.buzz/at for all of my picks.